Okay, folks, we're back for another week. I'm not sure if this is the last week or next week is the last week, but I did want to finish the year kind of talking about something that you really need to be able to deal with, and that is the Pythagorean Theorem. And generally, we use the Pythagorean Theorem to find a missing side on a triangle. And this one I am going to grade, okay? So, anyway, here, remember the Pythagorean Theorem says a squared plus b squared equals c squared, where c squared is always the hypotenuse, and the hypotenuse is always across from the right angle. Okay? So, in problem number 1, we would set it up. We've got, let's say this is A, B, and C. We would set it up and say x squared plus 8.2 squared has got to equal 11.9 squared. Okay, if we square 8.2, well, x squared doesn't change, but 8.2 times 8.2, which is 8.2 squared, is 67.2. And that's got to equal 11.9 squared. And I know that's something that's going to be close to 144 because 12 squared is 144. But when you put it into your calculator, you'll find out that it's equal to 141.6. All right, so now we've got a problem we can solve. We take 67.2 from this side, and we have to do the same thing to this side. And if we do that, these two cancel out, and we end up with x squared is equal to 74.4. All right, to get to a single x, we're going to take the square root of x squared, and we got to take the square root of the one next to us. Well, x squared, the square root of x squared is x, and so x is equal to the square root of 74.4 is 8.6. So all we've done is we've said that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We laid it out into a formula or into an equation. Then we solved the equation and we came up with our answer of x is equal to 8.6. Well, we got a similar situation here. And let's say that this is A, this is B, and this is C, because C is always the longest side, and it's always opposite the 90-degree mark. Okay? So, once again, we have a problem that looks very, very familiar to the first one. We got x squared, which is a squared, plus 7.2 squared, and that's got to be equal to 15.8 squared. All right, we're going to do the squares here, and what we end up with is x squared and 7.2 squared is 51.8, and 15.8 squared is 249.6. Okay, we do our arithmetic again just the same. We subtract the 51.8 from that side minus 51.8 on this side. These two go to 0, and we're left with x squared is equal to 249.6 minus 51.8, which is equal to 197.8. We're going to take the square root of both sides, and square root of x squared is x, and the square root of 197.8 is equal to 14.1. And that's the solution to our problem. Guys, this is stuff that y'all have seen before, and I think you shouldn't have much of a problem with it. That's why I'm going to grade this one, and we'll go from there. But let's take a look at number 3. Well, number 3, we've got A, we got B, and we're looking for C. So this is just a straight thing of the Pythagorean Theorem. 11.1 squared plus 4.2 squared is equal to x squared. Well, 11.1 squared is equal to 123.2. And 4.2 squared, it's going to be more than 16, but that's 17.6, and that's equal to x squared. And if we add these two together, we get 140.8 is equal to x squared. Again, we're going to take the square root of both sides, and 148, the square root of 140.8 is 11.9, and that the square root of x squared is x, and so we get the answer here. Okay. All right, I'm going to do number 4, and I'm leaving number 5 through 8 for you guys. So let's take a look at number 4. Well, we got A, B, and then C, like I said, is the longest one. It's across from here. So I end up with x squared plus 8.4 squared has got to equal 15.6 squared. So let's square them out. X squared is still x squared. 8.4 squared is 70.6, and 15.6 squared, 243.4. Okay, it's the same thing we did up here. We're going to subtract 70.6 from both sides. And when we do that, those go to 0. We're left with x squared is equal to 243 minus 70.6 is 172.8. And let's take the square root of both sides. Well, the square root of x squared is x, and the square root of 172.8 is 13.1. Okay. Now, I do want to point one thing out here. It says to round your answers to the nearest tenth. And if you notice, in each step of this, I've rounded the answers to the nearest tenth. That will get you the answer according to the instructions here. Okay, that is the Pythagorean theorem. As I said, I'm leaving problems 5 through 8 for you. Shouldn't be that big of a problem. I'll be back I'll have another lesson for today, but If this, I don't know whether this is the last week or whether next week's the last week. I've lost track. But if it is the last week, I do wish everybody well, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the fall. Talk to you later. Bye.